Today, the debt bomb remains. Hello again, it's Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Welcome to the latest post covering finance and property news with a distinctively Australian flavour. Just before I start, a couple of quick reminders. Firstly, tomorrow, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Sydney time, I'll be running my next live stream event, and I'll be going through the latest survey results to the end of the year, covering household stress and also our scenarios. And you can ask me a question live. The links are in the comments below. And also, I will be sending out in a few days' time the data again to the end of the year, including the projections that we now have for house and unit movements over the next 3 years to those on our Patreon program at the $50 level. So if you want to get the stress data and the additional price movement data, which is a one-off opportunity, then you need to sign up over at Patreon, again links in the comments below, before I send it out on Wednesday. Now, returning to the debt bomb, congratulations, writes the SMH just at the end of last year. We have almost made it through 2020, the worst year in a century, mostly in one piece. We should all raise a glass for sticking it out. However, let's not be unrealistic, they say, about 2021. There is a time bomb of bad debt ticking away in thousands of Australian households that could go off as early as March as government support payments expire. That could send ripples through the entire economy. This year, our recession-hit economy was propped up by government stimulus payments and corporate relief. The impact of their expiry are yet to be felt. The latest numbers on energy bill debt made me realise, they say, that we have really just kicked the debt can down the road. Energy bills are up between 10% and 30% this year thanks to lockdowns, more people working from home and other pandemic impacts. This has meant bigger bills at a time when millions of people are earning less. So the question, of course, is how do we pay those bills? Well, unfortunately, some people have been forced to use their JobKeeper or Job Seeker payments or even early super drawdowns to pay their bills. Tens of thousands of others have simply deferred them for now. The Australian Energy Regulator reported last week that long-term residential electricity debt increased by 21% from March to November. That was a large increase from 109,000 to 189,000 in the number of customers with short-term debt. That's between 30 and 60 days, between June and November. Almost 60,000 households have deferred paying energy bills under their retailers' COVID-19 relief programs. 43,000 homes would have been disconnected if not for COVID-19 rules that prohibited people being cut off for most of the year. And energy bills are just one piece of a larger picture of bad debt, but they are indeed a canary in the coal mine because every home and business has one. If you include 300,000 deferred mortgage repayments, which is down from 900,000 at their peak, plus rents, telco bills, insurance premiums, and other deferred costs, there is a looming crunch for household budgets. And with air conditioning in about 75% of Australian homes and a hotter than average summer forecast, get set for another round of record high energy bills. The end of JobKeeper is likely to lead to the collapse of some businesses and to permanent job losses. Small business energy debts were up about 30% from March to June. So not only do they have to deal with the loss of government support, but they also have to pay their back bills too. However, it's not all bad news because Australians have paid down more than $7.5 billion in credit card debt this year, and there is evidence that some of us are stashing cash under the mattress, metaphorically or literally, because demand for $50 and $100 notes are up by 23% and 15% respectively. However, it's hard to see how families and businesses doing it tough will pay 2020's debts off unless governments and businesses formulate a grand plan to help them do so. Because there is no vaccine for bad debts. We need a plan, and the clock is ticking. And for further evidence, and according to Mortgage Business, a new report has expressed policy concerns that premature withdrawal of government stimulus measures amid COVID-19 could send many into housing affordability stress. A complete phasing out of the federal government's JobKeeper measure in March 2021 could tip 124,000 households into housing affordability stress, or HAS, according to research. The Australian Housing and Urban Research Institute's AHURI, supporting Australia's housing system modelling pandemic policy responses report, said that 73% of those households predicted to experience HAS would be private renters. The research was conducted by the University of Adelaide and Curtin University for AHURI to examine the likely impacts on individuals and their households of lost employment and income due to COVID-19 and the consequences for their ability to meet their own housing costs. Lead author, Professor Chris Lishman, said the analysis showed that without the JobKeeper, JobSeeker, and the coronavirus supplement interventions, the implications of large-scale job losses on households' ability to meet housing costs would have been, quote, devastating. Professor Leishman said that while around 103,500 households entered situations of HAS due to the COVID-19 crisis, this figure would have nearly doubled from 757,000 at the baseline to more than 1.35 million even after Commonwealth rent assistance had been taken into account. The policy concern is that if these highly successful government interventions are withdrawn prematurely, almost a third of those saved from suffering household affordability stress will now experience it, he said. Without an extension of the JobKeeper income support measures beyond March 2021, the number of households living in HAS is likely to increase significantly to at least 793,000 and can reach as high as 893,000. The researchers found that a hypothetical Phase 4 of JobKeeper that extended support through a reduced payment of $650 per fortnight would be more than sufficient to reduce the number of households in HAS below that baseline. And they believe that combined with rent assistance and a national 25% rent relief scheme, the extension could halve the number of HAS cases. The researchers' economic modelling on the impacts of the COVID-19 crisis showed that once government support measures cease, total unemployment in 2021 could peak at 1.752 million under the most severe of three scenarios modelled. The mildest scenario modelled by researchers showed that total unemployment would exceed 1 million people, which is on par with the highest unemployment rate recorded in 2020 to date. So there are a number of very critical issues to consider here. Certainly the debt bomb is ticking, and the removal of stimulus is probably too soon, especially given the current virus profile. So I'm expecting more government intervention, but not immediately, because they're still hoping to take the support levels down in preparation for an election later in the year. But we'll see how this plays out. I'm Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Many thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.